Welcome back, everybody, to part 9 of my Honda ATC 125M three-wheeler conversion dirt bike build. Now, over the last 8 videos, we did a whole lot of chopping, welding, and bodywork to get to where we are today, and I'll leave a link to the earlier videos in the comments below if you want to check out those. But this week, we're going to finish up a little more of the bodywork and dive into the wiring. Now, things started to get really tight where I cut a hole in the frame in last week's video to hold the battery and starter relay down, and here I'm just finishing up the soldering and the wiring harness we modified last time, and I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. I've had a lot of people ask where I got the dual headlights for the bike. Well, they're just a couple of headlights off of an ATC 90 that I just bolted together, and after a little fabrication and some bodywork, they turned out really cool. The problem I have now is that there are 2 headlight switch on-off holes on the top of each light, and I only want one. So it's time to weld that hole up with a little metal and finish it off with a little body filler. After I got the hole welded shut and the welds grounded down and cleaned up, I mixed up a little bit of long strand fiberglass body filler to cover up the patch. And I know it doesn't look really pretty right now, but it should look perfect once everything is sanded down and skim coated with a little Bondo. I really like using this fiberglass reinforced body filler over any welded patches. It's a lot stronger than your normal body filler, so it works really good in situations where you need to lay your filler down a bit thicker than normal body filler would be able to handle without cracking. And after I sand the fiberglass down, I lay down a light coat of normal body filler just to fill in any air holes or any other imperfections that were left in the fiberglass filler. Yeah, just a little more sanding to do, and I can lay down a couple of coats of filler primer, block sand that smooth, and I'll be ready to paint. Nice. I'm really happy with how that Audi blue turned out. And now while the paint's setting up, I'm going to work on some odds and ends like putting the brakes together and then dive in on the rest of the wiring. Now these brake levers were just some generic ones that I picked up off eBay. Now I probably should have looked around for some that looked a little more like original Honda ones, but I figured what the heck, it's a custom bike and they were dirt cheap. Now we're on to the wiring, so let's mount up the ignition coil and pull the wiring harness back into the frame with a little fishing wire. Here I ran into a little whoopsie. I didn't have the air filter on the bike when I was building my fiberglass side panels, so I had to grind a little bit of the fiberglass away so the air filter would fit. Ah well, live and learn. I'm gonna have an electric starter. Wicked. I had to build the battery box from scratch out of some scrap sheet metal. It's definitely cramped in the frame, but it sure worked out nice. Hey, there you go. There's a nice shot of the jack shaft and the rear suspension. And I realized that I forgot to make a mounting bracket for the starter relay before I painted the frame. So I guess it's time to chop up some angle iron and make a bracket, and then try not to burn too much of the paint when I weld it back up to the frame. Yeah, that should work fine. All right, no harm done. So let's get a little touch-up paint on those welds and get the starter relay and rectifier mounted and see if this thing's gonna run. Now the paint on the gas tank is still drying up, but I really want to see if this thing's going to run. So I guess this syringe and some fuel line will have to do for now. Excellent, we got a runner. So now that we have that part tackled and the paint is set up, let's put the dual headlights together and start building a wiring harness for the lights. Yeah, that single switch is going to work great. Now all I got to do is solder the buckets into the switch in parallel and do a little heat shrinking, and we should have some lights. Now I'm not using the stock Honda reflectors here. These are just some generic off-road lights that use H3 LED bulbs. And the reason I went this route was so I could use some really low wattage bulbs in the lights. Because I figured 2 original bulbs would pull quite a bit of amperage through the old stock wiring. And I figured the LED bulbs only pull about a 1/4 amp each, so we should be just fine. Look at this fancy thing. I got keys, electric start, and a choke on the handlebars. This thing's decked out like a dang Goldwing, man. And sorry everybody, I had to chop up a really nice pull bar off of an ATC 110 so it would work on the bike. And I know, it hurts me too, but I really needed a nice chrome bar on the bike. I kept an ice cold wet rag on the chrome as I was welding in my mounting studs so I wouldn't blue the chrome. Now I just need a little silver touch-up paint on the underside of the rack to cover up the welds, and we can mount it to the bike. Now I gotta call it quits here for this week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the rest of the build. And hey, if you want to check out the rest of the videos in this build series, you can click one of these videos right here. I'll see you next time.